Bila, bunda fache kote chita. Gon lo akwal rentre. Majani chache kote lo akwal rentre. Gon lo akwal rentre. Majani chache kote lo akwal rentre. Jean wem jete clair sous lo akwal rentre. Se bebe sous loin quoi rentrer Majani cherche goûter l'eau à con loin quoi rentrer on loin quoi rentrer Majani cherche goûter l'eau à con loin quoi rentrer en moi on l'engage on loin quoi rentrer Majani cherche goûter l'eau à con loin quoi rentrer Jean wem se bebe sous Majani cherche goûter l'eau à con l'eau à quoi rentrer marché on l'eau à quoi rentrer Majani cherche goûter l'eau à con l'eau à quoi rentrer en moi on l'engage on l'eau à quoi rentrer Majani cherche goûter l'eau à con l'eau à quoi rentrer Jean wem se bebe son l'eau à quoi rentrer Majani cherche goûter l'eau à con l'eau à quoi rentrer chanter con l'eau à quoi rentrer Majani cherche goûter l'eau
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. My name is Asia. Welcome, welcome. I will be the MC for this webinar today. Um, I am a member of the All African People's Revolutionary Party, also the All African Women's Revolutionary Union, Los Angeles Tennis Union, and the Venceremos Brigade for Cuba. The Haiti Action Committee and the All African People's Revolutionary Party welcome you to the Haiti and the Pan African Revolution webinar towards self-determination and independence. We'll be learning lessons from the struggles against imperialism, discussing what obstacles have been faced and how to learn from them and overcome them to better our efforts to construct revolutionary democracy and understand the deeper meaning of self-determination. We have some housekeeping rules to go over. We do have interpretations available for French and Spanish. You can access the language channels by clicking the globe at the bottom of the screen. Later in the webinar, we will utilize the question and answer button for questions. So please hold all your questions until we let you know when you can present them. We will be live streaming this webinar on Facebook and YouTube from AAPRP International. So let your other comrades know to join so they can come in and see what we're talking about. All right, so we're gonna jump right in because we have some panelists who are so excited to share and I don't wanna take up too much time. We're gonna start with our first panelist, Comrade Sabukwe Shakur from the AAPRP. He is a Pan-African revolutionary organizer for the AAPRP. He's also a member of the African Party for the Independence of Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, the PAIGC, which is our sister org. He is also a member of the Pan-African Socialist Alliance. Sebukwe is a former co-chair of the National Network on Cuba, the NNOC, and a current member of the Bolivar Chavez Center in Kenya. Thank you so much for joining us. I will let you take it away. And if you have anything else you want to add to your bio, feel free.
No, that's plenty. And I want to thank you as the host. Also want to thank the Haiti Action Committee and the AAPRP for putting this on. I want to thank all those who have joined us tonight and for this seminar, and all those who will join later. I want to also thank the panelists who are on with me today. I know them all. I'm Inem, Walter, and Pierre. They're all, I've worked and been on platforms with each of them in my work as a journalist, as a organizer, and as a propagandist. I work with them in my capacity with the All African People's Revolutionary Party, with the National Network on Cuba, and my work as a radio host with WRFG 89.3 Atlanta. And I want to really kind of start, because it's in that vein, this idea of propaganda, of journalism, of getting the word out. Because I don't use that word propagandist as lightly. It's something that's very important in terms of us understanding that media is about shaping narratives. Propaganda includes every form of expression, from radio, television, all forms of media, the educational system, all the things that give us some information. Whether that information is true or false is determined by the ideas and the ideology of those forces that are putting it forward. I wanted to especially talk about tonight, and to talk about what and who shapes these narratives and how important it is to shape these narratives. I want to show you a couple slides. It's just two, but I want you to see these two slides. You see this slide? This slide is about us doing a episode of African Stream, a Pan-African podcast. And this was one on Haiti. We were talking about the conditions of Haiti, the conditions and the relationship that Haiti had to Kenya, because Kenya was asked to do and carry the bucket for the US and the core group. They were asked to send policemen to help to so-called quail bandits in Haiti. That was a narrative, of course, that was created by the West, that somehow that they needed to go and quail bandits in Haiti. This is a narrative that was put forth by the United States as an excuse to get back into Haiti. The Haitian masses don't want anybody coming in and occupying Haiti again. They were under occupation for many years and had been protesting these forces that were organized by the core group and pushed through the UN They had just gotten rid of these forces not too long ago, and now they are facing these forces again. But the important thing here, what I want us to do is to see what happens now. We recorded this back in February. When you click on this on the website of African Stream now, this is what you see. Can we go to the next slide? You can see that they removed this video. Not only this video, but African Stream has been deplatformed. It's been deplatformed from YouTube, I think Instagram, and other social media platforms. Why? Why has it been deplatformed? It was deplatformed, one, because it's a Pan-African media source. And it's really a Pan-African media source. I mean, it covers everything on the African continent, in the African diaspora, and what's going on in the world from a Pan-African view. African worldview is what they say on their website. But it's more important to understand that it used an anti-imperialist lens. Because there are many people, there's a Pan-African movement, so there are many people who talk about Pan-Africanism, African unity. But it's more important for us to understand that the US feels threatened by anybody who covers these things from an anti-imperialist lens, a lens in which they look at the atrocities of imperialism in the world. Now, the old African Stream is a small platform, a small Pan-African platform. They have about 500,000 viewers, not millions like CNN and who has 300 outlets around the world, not like BBC or Voice of America. They have but they are effective and they worry the US. I mean, this small podcast appeared in a speech by Anthony Blinken, was covered by the State Department. The Secretary of State is saying that there's a problem. And the only excuse they could use to try to get this platform off the air was to say that it's being run by RT, a Russian news agency, that Africans were not smart enough on their own to be able to make these kinds of analysis. A racist idea that had been used before. They accuse people like Martin Luther King of being communists. They accuse the Russians for controlling other figures like Claudia Jones and others. But the question, first of all, there's nothing wrong with being communist, and we're not going to allow them to bait us and say that we can't be associated with any groups of people that we want to be associated with. But the importance of this is that a small podcast of Africans helping to shape a truly anti-imperialist narrative is frightening to the United States, to the West, to the NATO allies. So they went for them and they tried to silence them. And it's important that we understand now that the narrative is being challenged. Because now 67% of the world, 67% of the world is on the internet. And 63% of that, 63% of the people are on social media. About 5 billion people are on social media. And of course, not all 5 billion are listening to us, but those 5 billion have the biggest range of ideological struggle in the world right now. Because the right, the far right, use social media. The left, Pan-Africanists, socialists, communists, use this platform. So the West is very worried, because when they think about what the narrative that has been challenged just here recently, where we're in the midst of, is the narrative on the question of Palestine, the question of Zionism. The social media has taken this and has made the narrative that has stood or been the most popular narratives since 1948 has been almost obliterated. People know that Judaism is not Zionism. People know today that the genocide has been going on since 1948 is real. People understand that the Palestinians have a right to resist, to struggle against their oppression. When we think about the African stream challenging the narrative, we have to think about what some of the things that they have covered. We just talked about one important aspect. They were able to talk about the relationship of Kenya to Kenya to Haiti. The fact that the president was willing to really be imperialism in blackface. He was willing to send police to Haiti against the will of the masses of the Haitian people, against even the Constitution of Kenya. It was challenged in court, but he did it anyway. He agreed to it anyway. So I think it's important to understand that this is what they have been doing, what they've been pushing forward. It's important to understand that they covered the struggle against Ruto's his finance bill. The finance bill that he put before the Kenyan people. A finance bill that was crafted by the World Bank and the IMF, crafted and helped being crafted by the U.S. Embassy here in Kenya. This is what they were covering. They were covering the mass protests against excessive taxation that meant the people of Kenya were being taxed on everything from food and medicine to sanitary pads and napkins for babies, or what you call diapers. So we got to understand that if we don't control the narrative, if we don't change the narrative, then imperialism will continue to shape the ideas of another generation. But we have the tools, we have the weapons now, and we have to organize them as a Pan-African collective. We have to bring ourselves together across from Haiti to Kenya, from South Africa to the Western Hemisphere, Venezuela, everywhere. We have to bring our forces together to make this process more, okay, I think I'm running out of time here, right? If I'm at time, okay. But I just want to say it's important for us to understand that one of the first victories that a people can have is to control the narrative. They have to control the narrative. We have to defeat the narrative of imperialism to move forward. So I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, comrade. Yes, you're exactly right. The U.S. feels threatened by Pan-Africanism. If Pan-Africanism and socialism didn't work, they wouldn't feel threatened, right? And we have to control the narrative and push that education. So thank you. We're going to move right into our next panelist. His name is Walter Turner. He is the host of Africa Today, a weekly Pacifica radio program aired on KPFA in Berkeley, a professor of social sciences and contemporary African affairs at the College of Maryland, and the president of the Global Exchange Board of Directors. So go ahead, Walter Turner. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Hopefully everyone is doing well, and thank you for the invite to this particular forum on Haiti and Pan-Africanism. I'm truly honored. I know of the people who are working on the program. I know of their work for many, many years. They certainly are not sprinters. They've been long distance runners. In the interest of time, I think I'd like to start with some key themes. And as I think as all of us are reaching for, begin to lay out what we might move forward as next steps in the work around Haiti and the work around recognizing Haiti's legacy for Pan-Africanism and Black internationalism. You can't help but think about the Battle of Algiers, for those who've ever seen the film, that the battle that we see in Haiti, which is one for national liberation. That's what this is about. The Haitian Revolution is not a noun, it's a verb, it's an idea, it's an action. Haiti represents what many have referred to as the Black radical tradition throughout the Caribbean and also throughout South America. The Haitian Revolution sets a foundation for Black internationalism and Pan-Africanism, despite this being at the end of the 18th century, that is still in our limbs. In a historical context, like the Maroon Societies, like Tacky's Rebellion in Jamaica, like Palomares in Brazil, the stage for a revolutionary response, Haiti has been, in the Haitian Revolution, a revolutionary response to the battles against imperialism that have been manifested throughout the transatlantic slave trade. Let me say that again, meaning that the transatlantic slave trade in itself is an effort of colonialism, of settled colonialism, of imperialism, and those earlier revolts, the Maroon Society, Palomares, and very specifically the Haiti Revolution, respond to that. If you look at, there's a course program that runs out of Europe every summer, which is called Black Europe. There's not a country in Europe that's somehow not involved, whether it's closing or ship of soldiers, in this whole development of the transatlantic trade and the profits, which many talk about are 3,000 or 4,000% coming from the transatlantic trade. My brothers and sisters, allies, we need to keep in mind that between 90 to 95% of those enslaved Africans were not transported to North America, but they were transported to the Caribbean. In fact, it's maybe 4 to 5% of Africans, enslaved Africans, captured, stolen Africans who were transported to the Caribbean and the South America. Vincent Harding has a great book where he talks about There is a River, when you look at this theme of resistance and Pan-Africanism. And Harding uses the river as a symbolism about radicalism and struggle. And he talks about those people at the top of the river, at the surface of the river, who fought basically to survive, their day-to-day survival, their families, their food, making sure that your children were safe. Those people who found themselves in the middle of the river, those people who through culture, through poetry, through art, through minor acts of what we call revolutionary violence, kept the movement and the spirits going. And then those people who were at the bottom, the Black Panther Party would probably refer to them as a lumpen proletariat, but those people who were willing to revolt and resist in whatever ways possible to be able to continue this war of national liberation. At the time of the Haitian Revolution, 1791 to 1804, most of these countries that we're talking about in South America and the Caribbean had not made any steps towards abolishing slavery, outlawing slavery, etc. I would refer to you at another time to take a look at the way in which historians have painted this period of 1807, 1808, when slavery was a quote unquote abolished by England, quote unquote abolished in 1808 by the United States, and see that really in terms of the United States, that's not the case. Gerald Horne, if you want to take a look at his work very extensively, makes the point that in fact, that the American Revolution was about finding a way to maintain slavery and to continue to draw the profits and power from slavery. Countries like Cuba, slavery goes on until the 1880s. Paraguay, the middle of South America up into the 1840s. Chile, 1823. Puerto Rico in the 1870s. Bolivia in 1820. Jamaica, 1830s. And don't forget, when we talk about Haiti and Pan-Africanism and anti-imperialism, that Haiti is central in the support of Simon Bolivar in the revolutions against Spanish colonialism. Not only is the president of Haiti at that time central in those discussions about supporting Simon Bolivar, but the Haitians support the revolutions that Bolivar is carrying out with actual support, with men, with material, with guns, with sending Haitians in the same way that Cubans got on boats and went to Angola to make sure that that next stage of what we wanted in Southern Africa could be addressed. And then Haiti is also key in terms of being a catalyst for the 19th. So Haiti's in this unique position. Not only are they representative of the movements of resistance and revolt before the Haitian Revolution, but they're key in the movements of resistance and revolt after the revolution. So if you look at the case of Denmark Vesey in 1822, you look at the case of Gabriel Prosser in 1820, you look at the Point Coupé Rebellion in 1811, you look at the events of Nat Turner. If you look at Nat Turner, when Nat Turner said he was a minister, at some point he looked into the sky, almost in the same way that you hear about Boukman and others. And he said, the day shall come when the last shall be first and the first shall be last. When you hear the voices of Mariah Stewart, outspoken abolitionist, anti-slavery leader, feminist activist in the 1830s and 1840s, when you hear the voice of David Walker, who I mentioned before, who very explicitly in David Walker's appeal notes out the importance of Haiti. Leslie Alexander, who's done a great book on the Haitian Revolution and internationalism, quoting her, during the early 19th century, Haitian independence inspired Black activism ranging from slave revolts to waves of migration designed to help fortify the Black nation. But most of all, Black people and abolitionists were captivated by Haiti's sovereignty, So this is, again, Haiti is not just something you mention and move on from. It's not just a revolution. It's not just Toussaint L'Ouverture. If you ever have an opportunity to go to Port-au-Prince and to see the Le Maroon sculpture in the middle of the capital of Port-au-Prince, where the one leg is chained, where the maroon is blowing through a conch shell, calling slaves, and the other hand is the machete, machetero, leading and representing the continuum of this struggle that's going on in Haiti. In fact, when you take a look at U.S. policy, the Alien and Sedition Act and things that were issued by Thomas Jefferson and others were specifically designed to ensure that people who had come from Haiti, who had been influenced by the Haitian Revolution, because as the revolution grew, people moved to other islands. Slave owners took slaves with them. People migrated to the United States. That the Alien and Sedition Act were intended to stop what the gentleman from Brown University refers to as the Haitian fear. And in fact, the first African newspaper, Freedom's Journal, published by Samuel Cornish, I believe is his name. On the front there is a discussion about Haiti. It goes on from there, because when you look at the legacy of Benito Sylvain, I'm watching the time. I know I just have 2 or 3 minutes here, and I want to get to a couple of points. So if I go over just a minute or two, please accept my apologies. Benito Sylvain, who was a comrade of W.B. Du Bois, a writer or organizer, he was at the first Pan-African Congress, along with Henry Sylvester Williams from Trinidad. Not only were they at the first Pan-Africanist Congress in London, but they had planned a conference in 1902, which didn't happen, but which was planned as a continuum of the Pan-Africanist Congress. And so when you look at what happened in Manchester, when you look at what happened in Uganda, when you look at what happened with Kwame Nkrumah and the All-African African conferences in 1958, the All-African People's Conferences, #1 and #2, that were hosted by Kwame Nkrumah. They are a direct result of that. Talk about Pan-Africanism, because Sylvain was also there as a representative of the head of Ethiopia. There was a very interesting speech, which there were some journals that covered, but in the main, it wasn't covered a lot, which was about a meeting last year, 2023, at which Paul Kagame of Rwanda, and William Ruto were there. You have to listen to the conversation. You have to listen to what Kagame is talking about. This is the same Kagame who worked to undermine the DRC, to put the DRC in the situation, following up on the job that Mobutu did. This is the same Kagame who gets most of his funds from peacekeeping forces from the United Nations. This is the same Kagame who's got peacekeepers in the South Sudan, and we shouldn't forget about the same Kagame. This is the same Kagame who's also had his troops in Mozambique recently, working with the French to make sure that the interests of the French gas and oil companies are protected. So in that sense, we need to know this. We need to be able to organize around the way in which U.S. policy, French policy, and other countries who are walking in Africa, Turkey, etc., are an extension of U.S. policy, or an extension of this battle that Haitians have had for national liberation, that many other countries around the continent have also had. And they're working. These parties, these governments are working. They're working to undermine what's happening in Sudan. They're working to undermine what's happening in Nigeria. They're working to undermine what's happening in Western Sahara. They're working to undermine the role that Cuba has played, because Cuba, as early as 2000, had proclaimed the Caribbean as a zone of peace. So that battle has been going on. And don't ever forget that this kind of anti-imperialism, this Pan-Africanism, very much evidenced in what we see in regards to the attacks that have been made on Cuba. 1 more minute and I will finish. We should know, and we should have learned, and hopefully we've learned from the impact of what it means to be an internationalist. Andrew Young knew when he spoke with the Palestinian, El Haj Malik El Shabazz, Amilcar Cabral, Fannie Lou Hamer, SNCC, etc. So as activists, there's a few things we need to do to keep Haiti on the table. Number one, we need to share the microphone. Whatever our causes is, we need to make sure that Haiti is included in those discussions. Whether we're talking about Sudan, whether we're talking about Afro descendants and Colombian, we need to make sure Haiti is brought up in the conversation if we want to be legitimate. We need to ensure that we support the Afro descendant population struggle throughout the Caribbean, Cuba, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, etc. And then finally, we need to do everything possible and be clear that we need to support this war, this national war of liberation, which is part of Haiti, because the Haitians, from before the time of the Haitian Revolution, with the Haitian Revolution, and to this point now have been fighting against imperialism, for Pan-Africanism, and to change the Black international world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Walter. And you are exactly correct. We must be internationalists. We have to support the liberation of Haiti. So forward ever and free, and we will free Haiti. We are going to try again to see if we can get our comrade and nemesis Richardson's video to play. So fingers crossed, it's gonna work. The CIA is not gonna stop us from learning about the Sahel. I'm saying it right now. So let's go ahead and see if it'll work.
Greetings to you from Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. My name is Inemesit Richardson, and I am a cadre member of the All African People's Revolutionary Party, AAPRP, as well as the president and co-founder of the Thomas Sankara Center for African Liberation and Unity, based in Burkina Faso, in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, where I am talking to you from. This is my fourth time trying to record this presentation, and I keep going over way over the time, but I'm allotted for this. So I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can. And unfortunately, this will have to be just a very quick glimpse at a few points about the AES, because I could be here for 30 minutes. The full presentation, when I tried it was 30 minutes. So this is 10. So you're going to get a few slides. If you want the full presentation, DM us at Burkina Books on Instagram. DM us Burkina Books on Instagram, and we'll send this to you. Or you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/Burkina Books, to have access to this and a bunch of other AES resources. Let's get into it. So I'm just going to have to give a few points about what the AES is. So the AES is an anti-imperialist confederation formed between the countries of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. All three countries are countries that have had revolutionary coups d'etats that moved to kick out the Western militaries that occupied the Sahel region. The French military continues to occupy Senegal as well as Chad, which are, AES is sandwiched between those two countries on the west and the east. But the countries of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have all kicked out Western military forces. So Mali was the very first African country to do this in the 21st century. Mali kicked out the French military in 2022. Burkina did it the following year, as did Niger. And then Niger also became the very first African country in history to kick out the U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM. And Niger was actually AFRICOM's base in West Africa. They had two big military bases, Djibouti and Niger. And Niger was the site of the Air Force's biggest construction project in history. The largest U.S. Air Force construction project in history was in Niger. It was the largest drone base, and it's been shut down. AFRICOM has been kicked out, as has the French military. The AES is also a confederation that is working to transform the economic reality and economic conditions of the African people who live in that region. So part of that is through its industrialization projects. So Mali and Burkina Faso are both working to build nuclear power plants, and Mali is also building West Africa's largest solar power field, or solar panel field. The Sahel region is among the worst in the world in terms of access to electricity. I believe Niger and Burkina Faso are tied at 18.5% of the population having access to electricity, according to the World Bank. So that means about 80% of Burkina Faso and Niger do not have access to electricity. I don't mean power cuts. I mean any access to electricity in their homes at all. 80% have zero access. And so, you know, Niger has uranium deposits, some of the biggest uranium deposits in the world. And those uranium deposits are used to develop energy for nuclear energy for the European Union, which is using that as a power supply. So you can see that contradiction. Niger has 80% of its population without electricity, as does Burkina, but Niger is providing the European Union with one of its largest sources of uranium for nuclear power. That is changing because Niger has now kicked out the French mining company Orano, which is, I believe, something that actually, okay, I had to get rid of the slide that talks about it, but you know, nationalization is a key part of the AES foreign policy. Burkina Faso has nationalized multiple gold mines. Burkina Faso and Mali are in the top 5 African countries that are exporters of gold. Burkina Faso and Mali are working to build a gold refinery at home so that they can transform this gold, you know, at home and not export it as raw materials. So both Burkina and Mali have that. So Niger is nationalizing what its most important economic sector, uranium. Burkina is nationalizing its most important economic sector, gold, and they're nationalizing other economic sectors as well. Niger nationalized water, Burkina Faso nationalized sugar. These are just a few examples. Burkina Faso is also working to develop a mining waste processing plant to transform mining waste, again, starting with industrializing what we have access to easily, and using that to kickstart industrialization. We need energy to industrialize, hence these power plants. And then one last comment here, I didn't talk about agriculture, but the AES has also been transforming the reality of farmers and agricultural production in the Sahel. I mean, I wish I could show you the videos of the Burkinabe farmers who are crying from joy because of how much their economic reality has transformed, how much their own agricultural practices has transformed through new technology, through greater yields. You know, it's been an amazing process to see also how agriculture has been impacted. But I have very, very little time, so I'm going through this quickly. Multipolarity. This is like a key word on the ground here in the AES. People all around me talk about multipolarity all the time. This idea that the world should not be dominated by just one pole or just one, you know, source of power. For the past 400, 500 years, it's been the West. You know, these countries that are now regrouped in NATO that have been running the show for 400, 500 years. But now we're starting to see a world where, you know, there's many different resistance camps across different parts of the world. So in Latin America, they have ALBA, which is led by Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela. In Asia, they have the Axis of Resistance led by Iran. East Asia has, you know, China, the DPRK. Well, now Africa has the Alliance of Sahel States. This is our resistance camp. This is our liberated zone as Africans. We need to defend it. So the AES has a shared foreign policy, and it's foreign policy built around moving away from French and Western neocolonialism. I would have to get rid of this slide for the sake of time, but I would like to mention that the goal of the AES Confederation is to create a federation. A federation is one unified country. It may have some internal states, but it's one country with one governing body, you know, federal body, one citizenship, one passport, etc. So to give you some examples, the United States is a federation of states, Russia is a federation of states, Brazil is a federation of states, Venezuela is a federation of states. You know, they have, you know, internal states that might have some governors, but they're one country, and that's what the AES wants. The AES has preferred to work with Russia, as well as Iran, China, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and DPRK for technology transfers. The AES doesn't want to isolate itself from the world because we need to have some help and support in technological development, scientific development. Transfer us, you know, your technology know-hows. How do we develop certain things? Share these technological secrets with us. But we need to do this through partnerships, not through neocolonialism. So the AES is not willing to work with any country that does not respect its sovereignty, but it is willing to work with any country that is willing to respect the sovereignty of these states. So like I said, I had to cut this presentation super short. I'm hoping I'm within 10 minutes. There's so much more I can say. I want to remind people, if you're interested in accessing this presentation, to DM us at Burkina Books, our Instagram page, or to follow us on Patreon. Our Patreon's written up here, patreon.com/Burkina Books. And you can get, we have about 27 slides in total in this presentation, and I just showed like 3. But, it's a time crunch. I've tried this 4 times, so I'm hoping this is within 10 minutes. You can check out, we're currently trying to open up a Thomas Sankara Center in Niger, so that we are existing right now in Burkina Faso. We're a revolutionary, Pan-African, scientific, socialist, political education center and lending library. We are, as far as I know, the only space in Burkina Faso where people can have access to these revolutionary Pan-African books. Think Nkrumah, think Cabral, think Sankara, think Sekou Touré, Malcolm X, Assata, etc. This is where people go to have access to these resources, as well as to politically and ideologically educate themselves. So if you're interested in supporting this project in Burkina, as well as the opening of this project, you'd like to see it open in Niger, check out our other links. We have tinyurl.com/SahelBooks. You can order books directly, Pan-African books that inspire you. We have a Cash App. Burkina Books is our Cash App. And then we have these links, tinyurl.com/Niger Library, tinyurl.com/Burkina Library. I wish I could talk to you more, because I would like to talk for hours about the AES, but I have had to go through just a few points to give you an idea. We must defend the AES. It's very important because the AES is under constant attack by imperialist forces, as you can imagine. So this is the most important thing we must do as Africans. Any media lies you see coming from, BBC, Al Jazeera, CNN, France 24, Voice of America, don't believe these media lies. They're not true. The mobilizations and mass organizations of the people in defense of the AES should prove to you otherwise. Check out Burkina Books, because we're trying to constantly put out information that challenges these media lies. Thank you.
Unmute.
Oh, unmute. I'm sitting here talking to myself. Anyway, like I was saying, thank you so much, comrade. That was a wonderful presentation. Like you stated, like the AES is moving constantly, and we must defend it, because again, they're constantly trying to attack it and bring it down, right? The West feels like their time is up, so they're gonna crack down even more. So we have to defend them. We're gonna move right into our last panelist. Pierre Labossiere is the co-founder of the Haitian Action Committee and the Haitian Emergency Relief Fund, is a veteran labor and human rights organizer, and a tireless activist for liberating his home country of Haiti. Thank you so much for joining us. I will let you take the floor.
Thank you very, very much, Asia. And thank you to all the panelists. This is quite an educational. I'm learning so much. I basically wanted to just yield my time to to the other panelists for the wealth of information that they are presenting. But in the interest of time, we are moving right ahead. I'd like to start by asking if the slides can be shown. And basically what I want to, I'm starting with Dessalines. This is Jean-Jacques Dessalines, the founder of the Haitian nation. When Toussaint Louverture was kidnapped and killed by the French, Dessalines was the one who took over and carried the struggle forward to the independence of Haiti. And the reason why I start with him today is because on October 17th, 1806, he was assassinated. So today is the 19th, and it's a significant. Haitians commemorated his assassination, and this has to do with that was the first coup d'etat against the Haitian nation, the newfound Haitian nation, and it was a coup d'etat by the imperialists and other forces within Haiti that wanted to maintain the neo-colonial status quo with the French. So if we want to move on to the next one, this is, of course, Samora Machel, the late president of Mozambique. I believe. And next to him is the great Maurice Bishop, the late great Maurice Bishop, both of them. Maurice Bishop was the Prime Minister of Grenada. And today, October 19th, is the anniversary of his assassination. Again, a coup d'etat led by reactionary forces and also at the instigation of the US. This is a very dear friend of ours from Haiti, Ronald Farrow. He passed away. He was one of the leaders of the movement who never accepted the coup d'etat and who tirelessly fought in the resistance for a free Haiti. Ronald Farrow unfortunately passed earlier this year, and we wanted to pay tribute to him. And as you can see, he's dressed in the colors of the Haitian flag as he's leading a demonstration. This is part of the ongoing resistance. So we fight from one generation to the next. Next slide, please. This is a mass movement in Haiti of the people in the streets, again, opposing the coup d'etat that took place on February 29th, 2004 against President Aristide. And people see it as a reimposition of colonial status on Haiti. And people have never stopped demonstrating since the coup d'etat of February 29th, 2004 until the present day. Something you don't get in the newspapers and in the corporate media. Next slide. This is one of the part of the demonstration. This is a woman demonstrator, and the photo you are seeing here is a photo of President Aristide when he was in exile in South Africa. He continued his studies at the University of South Africa and getting his doctorate. So this is him dressed in as he's getting his doctoral degree. And Haitians have been so very proud to see that the brother is continuing to study. And we want to thank the people of South Africa, the government of South Africa at the time, for having brought him to South Africa. And that was under Thabo Mbeki, President Mbeki, and for their solidarity. So that's what we need, this closeness, this solidarity of the African family with each other towards self-determination and independence. Next slide, please. And this is a demonstration in San Francisco, and the sister is holding that Lavalas equals democracy. This is a dear sister of ours, good founder, well, a member of the Global Women's Strike. And she was in the demonstration with us in San Francisco. And this is what we've been doing ever since the coup d'etat. It's been just standing strong against the coup d'etat. Next slide. And this is, again, one of the actions we have taken, we've done, the Haiti Action Committee, the sign says US-UN, Stop Destroying Haiti, Solidarity Action, because this is what the US and the UN, who have been occupying Haiti ever since the coup d'etat of 2004, they've been destroying, systematically destroying the nation of Haiti. And this is a sign of a freeway that we've put up, and we got a lot of people honking their horns. So there are many people who are aware of what's going on. So that's what we have to continue doing. Use whatever means necessary to spread the word, social media, Africa Stream, everywhere, get the word out. Walter Turner's been doing fantastic work with Africa Today. I urge people to listen to it on Mondays. Also Flashpoints with Dennis Bernstein, and also Hard Knock Radio and several others. We also have Margaret Prescott, Sojourner Truth Show on KPFK in Los Angeles, been doing tremendous work. I have to mention also that Margaret Prescott has a fantastic coverage on RT News, and it's called Special Report, Massacres in Haiti. You can just Google Margaret Prescott Special Report, Massacres in Haiti, or just Margaret Prescott Massacres in Haiti, and you'll get a video that tells you about the nature of the so-called gangs and what's going on in Haiti. These are not gangs, these are paramilitary death squads. Next slide, please. Or is that over? Okay. All right, so looks like that's over. These are the slides. And so wanted to let you know, also having said that, what we are witnessing in Haiti at this time, it's from the independence of Haiti, from the Declaration of Independence. And thank you very much, Walter, for this historical overview, taking it to where Walter left off. From the Declaration of Independence in Haiti, our people, our foremothers and forefathers had to struggle now with defining which way to go, where do we go, which way forward. And so one of the things was to destroy the vestiges, the structures of colonialism. And that was, I mentioned Dessalines, the first coup d'etat in 1806, October 17, 1806. And let me slow down because people are translating. I forgot that people are translating. So what it was one of the structures of colonialism was the question of land. And the nation, the majority population, was determined. Number one, the Haitian state under Dessalines nationalized. They didn't have that term back in those days, but that's what it was. And I stole that term from one of the reporters of Radio Timoun in Haiti, which is a radio station out of the Aristide Foundation for Democracy, where a young man used that term, and he said that's what was taking place after independence. It was nationalizing the plantations so that the people were demanding that the land be distributed to the formerly enslaved Africans, and so that they could work the land and reshape the country, because most of them, 66% of the population, was born in Africa. They were kidnapped into slavery, but they had a different vision of a society based on egalitarian principles. However, there was a tiny elite that was formed, trained by the French, very colonized in their thinking. And so they wanted to maintain the structures of colonialism. That is, keep the independence, be independent, true in name, but continuing in a war with the French, so that, and then maintain the majority of the Africans to work for them for nothing. So basically to continue the old system of slavery. And the people rebelled against that. And Dessalines was one of the proponents of that movement. And that's why there was a coup d'etat. No different than what we are seeing today. No different than when Brother Thomas Sankara wanted to lead Burkina Faso away from the traditional, what you call it, neo-colonialist arrangement with Europe. And so they found traitors within the nation, people who believe in maintaining the old colonial structures, to kill the brother, to assassinate him, and maintain these colonial. So it's a good thing that Brother Ibrahim Traoré, now as the head of state, is changing that, and this is fantastic. So what we are seeing, the Haitian people throughout the 19th century, even though the French, after the assassination of Dessalines, they systematically had neo-colonial regimes who were there to maintain the structure. And it was through one of those neo-colonial regimes that the French were able to force that regime was forced to accept the terms of the French demanding that Haiti pay reparations to the former slave owners, quote unquote, to use that term. And so the people didn't want it, didn't like it, but however, faced with the guns of the French and with a regime that was, that capitulated under force of arms, nevertheless, but still capitulated when the people wanted to fight for their rights. And so what we had is 150 years of Haiti paying money in reparations to the former French slave owners, who should have been repaying our people for the crimes of slavery and for and for working them to death. So what we are saying today, to bring it to the present, when many of you love to go to France, many people love to go there, and visit the Eiffel Tower. Someone just did a very nice, some serious research about the Eiffel Tower. It was the money of the Haitian people, those payments in reparations to the former French slave owners that built the Eiffel Tower, according to this latest research. And this is one of the reasons why they don't want to see ethnic studies, Black studies and various ethnic studies, because our people are able to dig into the file, into the recordings, into the archives, and bring out the truth about what's going on. So to bring it to today, when President Aristide in 2003, on the anniversary of the death of Toussaint Louverture, which I call an assassination and many people call an assassination, because when you starve a man to death and you put that person in conditions where they are facing the cold and not providing them with any sustenance and starving them, then that's an assassination. And so President Aristide demanded that the French repay us this money, which at the time was estimated at $21.7 billion. And today it's more like, according to a number of experts, economists and what have you, in an expose by the New York Times in 2022, the amount is closer to $115 billion that the French owe us if they were to restore the reparations money that they extorted from us. Now, that's one part of the bill. President Aristide also said there is also reparations. The first part of the bill is restitution, to restore the money that they took from us. This is a known amount. But the second part is reparations for the crime of slavery, the kidnapping, all of the atrocities that our foremothers and forefathers suffered. And so this is restitution which has yet to be calculated. So bringing it to today, what we are saying is that the US, ever since 1915, invaded Haiti, and the US has been took over the same way they did in Vietnam after Dien Bien Phu, when the Vietnamese destroyed the French army. The US went into Vietnam and took over from the French and tried to restore colonial regime. Same thing happened in Haiti in 1915. The US stepped in and has since been dominating Haiti. And so what's been going on is that they created the dictators, and the most infamous of them was Papa Doc Duvalier and his son, Baby Doc Duvalier, and they maintained a system that was a system of dictatorial rule that forced Haitians, number one, ever since 1915, after the invasion of Haiti, the repression was so brutal against the Haitian population that was saying no, that was standing up because the US was taking over their lands and kicking the peasants out. That was the first wave of Haitians fleeing Haiti, going to the Dominican Republic, going to Cuba at the time. And so later on, with the brutal dictatorship of Papa Doc, more Haitians were fleeing Haiti as well. And we've seen that when the People's Movement finally succeeded in overthrowing Duvalier, many Haitians, and they elected President Jean-Bertrand Aristide after a long struggle to have democratic elections in Haiti. Many people were killed during that period. And President Aristide came into office with Famille Lavalas, the political organization. Then they started transforming Haiti. It was a people's government transforming Haiti. And so people were coming back to rebuild Haiti. And so the second time President Aristide came to office, again, the people drafted him to run again the second time, and he was elected massively, overwhelmingly. The US again orchestrated another coup d'etat to force him out. But during that time, more schools were being built. Monies were being invested in people, according to the program of Famille Lavalas, investing in people, investir dans l'humain, meaning building schools, building hospitals, building sources of clean drinking water, investing in agriculture, undoing the damage of the destruction of the Haitian agricultural system that the US and the IMF and the World Bank has systematically invested in destroying our food sovereignty so we could become a consumer nation, just buying things from them. And it was underdeveloping the country. Also making Haiti a place where sweatshops would dominate it, where our people were getting not a livable wage, I would say starvation wages in order to produce cheap goods. But the savings of the production of those goods was not being passed on to the consumers in the US or Europe or Canada. It was exploitation. Those people in those countries were not benefiting from that, but the Haitians were being starved and producing just like the old slavery system. So then the movement, the Lavalas movement, challenged that and doubled the minimum wage. And that was another quote unquote sin which was behind the coup d'etat against President Aristide. And so I know time is short, but I have to conclude with that. What we are seeing now, I want to express, let people know that what we are seeing debunk the media nonsense about gangs in Haiti. Don't repeat that term, gangs. These are paramilitary death squads. They are financed by the little minority in Haiti that works collaboratively with the US, France, Canada, the other imperialist states that have been maintaining the occupation of Haiti ever since February 29, 2004. It's a consortium of these countries. There are 9 entities altogether. You have France, the US, Canada, you have Spain, Germany, Brazil is part of it. You know, they have to have somebody who's non-white just to show that it's the so-called world community. That's part of it. You also have the representative of the UN, the representative of the OAS, and the representative of the European Union. This is the consortium that is making the day-to-day decisions about the occupation of Haiti. Those death squads that they are mischaracterizing as gang, it's just there to confuse people, to make people think that they are not part of the occupation governments that are actually following the dictates of the imperialist nations. And so what we are saying is that those death squads, and several people have been fooled by the fact that they are calling them revolutionaries. But they take some names of those gurus of the left, like you have this guy, Dan Cohen. I'm going to call them out because we have to. You have this other guy, Kim Ives, another one who's claiming that these are revolutionaries. You have, there is another person there who just put out and is pretty much highly respected in the left and claiming that these people are revolutionaries. But the Haitian people are saying, no, how can you be a revolutionary when you are gang raping women, when you are burning people out of their homes, when you are preventing people from demonstrating? Ever since those death squads have been in operation, they've been attacking communities that have been standing very strong against the coup d'etat that took place, people who have been demanding their rights when the country, when their taxes are not being used for them, when their taxes are being stolen. And so that's what it is. And there is a name, there is a guy named Jimmy Cherizier or Barbecue. They are claiming to be a revolutionary. You see, Haiti has been, and I'm going to close with this one, but it's very important. These people are well-trained agents, beginning with a guy named Guy Philippe. If we go back to Duvalier, Papa Doc, he used to talk a lot about quoting revolutionaries in the world. They use the language of revolutionaries. They name drop revolutionaries, something that Jimmy Shell is a barbecue, and he has the name barbecue because he burns people alive. That's what he does. And the guy before, Guy Philippe, is another such character who in 2004 was also being used to do that. So these are people who lead gangs who go around doing all these atrocities to people. But yet those journalists come and they quote them, dropping names like Malcolm X or Che Guevara or what have you. And people outside of Haiti are fooled by it because they see they wear a beret and they are waving a Tommy gun, and people assume by the images, oh, they must be revolutionaries, particularly when certain people are saying that, that these are revolutionaries, but don't believe them. And so I want to close right now with this. People have questions and we can pick up the rest later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pierre. And thanks for those wonderful reminders that they are not gangs, they are paramilitaries, right? And they're being financed by someone. We are going to move into the question portion. I did have one question that popped up in the chat. It's two, kind of. It's like two in one. But it's from Janet. Janet would like to know, would the panelists comment on the MSM propaganda and lack of coverage of the FBI indictment of the Oruro 3 and the attempt by the U.S. to silence their voices in their work? The second question is, would the panelists also comment on the distinction between Pan-Africanism and African internationalism? And then whichever panelist would like to come on, they can start their video and answer the question.
No, I'd like to say briefly, I'll take the first part of that question, and people should be informed on the attacks on the Uhuru 3 and the African People's Socialist Party. Omwale Yeshitela has been in the movement for years and years and years, fighting not only nationally but globally, instilling programs throughout the community to help the community, healthcare, education, etc. But I'd really like to spring that back to, I think, what our panelists have said. The representative speaking from Burkina Faso, Brother Sabukwe speaking from Kenya, Pierre, etc., with the importance of passing the mic, of sharing the mic, of being adept at making sure that we counterattack when necessary on the misinformation and disinformation. Pierre's example of this kind of hailing of barbecue, and if you would all read the newspapers, New York Times, I'd advise against reading it. This has been their tactic. And some of the things that you hear might seem like they're just comments as part of the process. But in regard to Haiti, in regard to Cuba, their intent to defame, discredit, confuse, undermine movements in the population. As Pierre said, they're COINTELPRO. And so on that first part, yes, people such as the Uhuru 3 and their work and the way in which the criminal justice system has looked at their work, and all the rest of us should be called out.
If I can, I'd like to take the second part of that question.
Feel free.
Okay. Yeah, I think that one, Pan-Africanism is an objective. And an objective that comes out of resistance of African people around the world, seeing their struggle as one, as an objective that comes out of us being, especially in the diaspora, those who had been taken from the continent and really needed to be able to see and pull the notion of African unity and having some understanding that we came from Africa, and the only place that we could really be free is when in Africa, and when Africa was free. So I think the question is, is that objectives in a revolutionary sense, are also defined by ideologies. When we, as in the All African People's Revolutionary Party, talk about Pan-Africanism, we talk about the total unification and liberation of Africa under scientific socialism. So when we talk about our ideologies is based on the work of Nkrumah, Sekou Touré, and Cabral. So they were understood, all knew and understood internationalism. So when we to differentiate our understanding of Pan-Africanism, we use the term for our objective as revolutionary Pan-Africanism, because it's not enough just we're not just talking about African unity in the abstract. We're talking about it in the sense of a revolutionary force that's going to transform our people's lives. Because everywhere we struggle, when we talk about the struggle in Haiti, the struggle here in Kenya, the struggle in the Sahel, we're facing the same forces, the same imperialist forces. So for us, the objective of Pan-Africanism has to be internationalist. So when people, I know that some organizations call it African internationalism, but I don't think that there's a difference really between African internationalism, as I understand it anyway, and revolutionary Pan-Africanism. It has to be anti-imperialist, and I'll leave it there.
If any other panelists don't have anything else to add, I will move on to the next question. The next question says, the president of the Dominican Republic announced last week that he will be deporting Haitians from the DR, and they have been terrorizing Haitians in the DR. What should we do as revolutionary Pan-Africanists for the Haitians in the Dominican Republic?
Yes, I was trying to unmute, sorry about that. One of the things is to strongly denounce this and the racism that is behind this move. It's not the first time that we've had this issue of racism, but let me make it clear. The people of Haiti and the people of the Dominican Republic, in the words of President Aristide, we are two wings of the same bird, you see. So there has been no issue between people to people in terms of except for some exceptions, when you have people who buy into the racist ideology. And we see that here in the US and different places. Some places it's expressed as xenophobia or what have you, but it's really a minority. But really, it's a manipulative thing by the elite in those countries. For example, one of the things that is not being mentioned, one of the myths that is being propagated in the Dominican Republic is the myth of as being Haitians / African Black people are the enemy. And it was a conscious thing which really saw its peak, which really peaked under the dictatorship of Trujillo, Rafael Leonidas Trujillo. He made no bones about it. He wanted to turn the Dominican Republic into a white nation. And so he went about systematically, one, promoting immigration from Europe, hoping that, as he called it, quote unquote, race mixing will get rid of the Africans, even though the guy has Haitian roots. He has families who are Haitians. If we go further back, Haiti abolished slavery in the Dominican Republic, which at the time was not the Dominican Republic. It was a colony of Spain. And so the sisters and brothers in that part of the island, they called on Haiti to help them get rid of Spanish colonialism and slavery. And that was in 1822. The entire island became one under Haiti at the time. So there has always been a struggle between the elite at that time, which saw themselves as of Spanish or Castilian, Spanish meaning very, how should I say, elitist origins, and against the egalitarian principles of the Haitian Revolution. And so their idea of independence for this part, for this little elite, was to reconnect and to appeal to Spain to come back and recolonize that portion of the island and bring back slavery, which at that time the Spanish were practicing, as is evident with Cuba, slavery continuing to the 1880s. And so, you know, they didn't, that's what they wanted to do. Or if Spain couldn't be the power to be in charge again, to connect with the United States and have the US take it over. But there were many people, the great majority population in that part of the island, what became the Dominican Republic, were opposed to this. And so once again, in the 1860s, they called on Haiti to help them out. And Haiti helped them get rid of Spain. And Haiti was determined that no slave, I hate the term slave-owning nation or power would have a foothold in the island, because it was an existential issue for Haiti, because it meant recolonization and it meant also re-enslavement of our people. So you see, these are the going back, these are the antagonistic relationships that have existed with the elite. Let me say that the elite in Haiti and the elite in the Dominican Republic get along very well. So it's not an issue of Dominican Republic versus Haiti. It's really an elite thing against the mass population in both countries. Because when you look at the reality, many Dominicans are fleeing the Dominican Republic. And they are just like the Haitians fleeing for better life elsewhere. You know, actually different in Haiti, because Haitians are fleeing for massacres and a government that is, and an occupation government that is waging a war on the population using death squads and what have you. In the Dominican Republic, it's the living conditions in the country that are terrible for the Dominicans. And so many of them have had to flee to various countries, including Spain and Mexico and what have you. So back, and I'll close right there, back in the old days, and I'm talking the 60s, the 50s, there was a great collaboration between the people of Haiti, organizations on the ground in Haiti and in the Dominican Republic, to change the structures that were oppressive to both people. And so since, I would say in the past, maybe 10 years, maybe more, there has been a setback in this, and we have seen less and less of the manifestation of this collaboration between the grassroots organizations that should be leading a struggle. Somehow there has been a capitulation, and maybe I'm using a term that's too strong, but from my vantage point, in the 70s, what's taking place today would not have been allowed to take place in the Dominican Republic by the people of the Dominican Republic. So it shows that a lot of work needs to be done so that the people of the DR can reorganize, and through their organizations, they can mount a very organized struggle against this oppressive, racist minority that has taken control of the Dominican Republic and is waging war on both people, both sides of the island. And the thing for people internationally is to denounce what's going on there, is not to cuddle it and to call it what it is. Same way people are denouncing the MAGA, you know, the Trump administration. I mean, the Trump, you know, whatever, the administration then, but their movement right now, their racist movement. Same way people are denouncing the Zionists, who are inflicting so much misery and genocide against the people in Gaza, or the Palestinian people in general. And it's this kind of philosophy or idea or ideology of racism, white supremacy. This is what is being exercised against the people of Haiti as we see it. And also dark-skinned Dominicans are also suffering a lot from this. So I'll close right there.
Thank you so much, Pierre. You did mention Palestine and Haiti. The next question does ask, what is the connection between Haiti, Africa, and Palestine? So again, panelists, any panelists can answer. Just make sure you cut on your video if you're answering.
I don't know if is it okay? Should I? Pierre, are you going first? Yeah.
You can go ahead, and I'll add one more thing. I don't want to monopolize the time. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, I just wanted to, because I think, some people think that the struggle in Palestine, which is more accurately a struggle against Zionism. Zionism is an ideology. It's an imperialist ideology. It comes, it's the same thing as Manifest Destiny that took place in the U.S. that inflated imperialism, settler colonialism with Christianity, saying that the Europeans had to come and take power and teach the indigenous people how to live. But I think what we as Africans are not clear on is that Zionism, even economically, got its money from the colonization of Africa, the colonization of our resources. Cecil Rhodes, the one who was the settler colony of Rhodesia was named after, was a Zionist who was giving the money he was stealing out of Africa, the gold, the diamonds that he was stealing from what is now known as Zimbabwe, was funding the early Zionist movement, even before they were a state. So this is the connection with Africa. And if you want to know anything about the Caribbean and Central and South America, the Zionist forces train terrorists in the struggles in Nicaragua and in Guatemala. So in the Americas, the Zionists have also terrorized our people, because in every one of those states, Africans and indigenous people are being tortured. So when we talk about the connection, Zionism is just like understanding that NATO, as a force of imperialism, operates on a global level. It's an enemy of all oppressed people. So Zionism is just a part of it. It has an alliance with it. And when we look at even people like here in Kenya, Zionism supports the face of people, people like the Kenya Kwanzaa forces that are in power here in Kenya. Ruto can't say a word against Zionism. When he came and denounced the people in Palestine's right to resist. So I think we have to be clear that Zionism is not just an enemy of Palestinian people. It's an enemy of Africa. It's an enemy of Africans in the Americas. The peoples in the Americas is an enemy of all oppressed people. It is part of this machine that keeps us oppressed, even in Haiti. So I think it's clear that Zionism is our enemy.
Yes,
I'll stop there.
Thank you very much. What I wanted to add to this is that there have been so many things that have been connected with Zionism in Haiti. For example, a lot of the weapons that were provided by the Duvaliers, François Duvalier and baby Doug Duvalier, his son, Jean-Claude Duvalier, came from Israel. Like one of the weapons of choice that were furnished to the Tonton Macoutes. By the way, the Tonton Macoutes were Duvaliers created militia and a precursor, one of the forerunners of the so-called gangs in Haiti. That was the model. They were trained by U.S. Special Military Mission to Haiti, which many people don't know about. There is an article that a piece by Leslie Coburn that talks about that. And so Uzi, submachine gun, was their favorite weapons of choice. And also one of the former prime ministers of Haiti, Laurent Lamotte, who was sanctioned recently by the US and also by, I believe, the UN and Canada, where they named him and put him under sanction for not only bringing for corruption in Haiti and also connection with gang activity, I believe. So we have to double check that. But also he bought a lot of Galil guns in Haiti. Those are Israeli weapons. I believe that was in 2012 or 2013. 2013, I think, when he was prime minister. And those guns were Haiti's under gun weapon embargo to bring in weapons to Haiti. But somehow he got it from Israel through Canada, and they came in to Haiti. And those Galils ended up in the hands of so-called gangs, death squads, who named the organization Gang Galil. You see, so that establishes the connections between these associations of killers and terror organizations and the special relationship with Israel and the Zionists. So there are multiple examples, but also there are examples of cooperation between our people, between the Palestinian people and the Haitian people. I will also mention the Ismaili brothers. The Ismaili brothers are Palestinian, George and Antoine. They were two brothers, Palestinian Haitian, who joined the people's movement in Haiti and were leaders of the Lavalas movement. And they were both assassinated, one in 1993, the other one in 1994. And they were, I believe those are the dates, or maybe within the same year, a few months apart from each other, because of their positions in support of the legitimate demands of the Haitian people for democratic rights and for the right to live, in dignity. They were assassinated by the neo-colonial Haitian state that was being supported by Israel. So you see, and I'll stop there, in the interest of time.
Thank you. We have a couple more questions. We may not get them all, but we do have some specific questions for our comrade Inimicit. They're kind of, I'm going to go through both because they kind of relate to the same thing. The first one is asking, can you talk about the popular movements on the ground in Burkina Faso that have helped make possible the incredible anti-imperialist transformation that's underway? And then, are there currently movements towards any collaboration between Haiti and the People's Republic of Burkina Faso?
Okay, those are both great questions. I hope you can hear me okay. So, I mean, first of all, I want to just really quickly touch on a couple comments I left about how similar the context is between Haiti and the Sahel as a whole. Hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, good. You know, Haiti and the Sahel are really targeted in a very similar way. You know, in Haiti, the Western media uses this term gangs to talk about the paramilitary death squads. In the Sahel, the Western media uses the term terrorists to talk about the paramilitary death squads. But we see that actually it seems like they're tied to a very similar international imperialist system, or the same actually international imperialist system. I used to make a comparison between the so-called, you know, the terrorists, the death squads here in the Sahel, and the Contras who attacked Nicaragua in the 1980s. And I think that there is a similarity there in the sense that the Sandinistas were this revolutionary government in power, like we see in the Sahel, and then they were attacked by these death squads that had, direct funding and support from the United States. I'm talking about the Sahel in 2024, making this comparison. You can take that how you will, but I can say here in the Sahel, there's very little question or doubt as to how arms are getting into the hands of these terrorist organizations. But one difference that somebody once pointed out to me that applies to Haiti too, and is tied to this 2024 context, is that much more now compared to that particular context of Central America in the 1980s, these so-called gangs or terrorists are used as a pretext to justify Western military invasion. And then we have this cycle of ongoing, intervention, invasion, and then, the terrorist arms are getting stronger and, being forced. And I think the Sahel is really on has embarked on a path to put an end to that cycle. And that's something I could talk about for a long time, but that's not exactly the question that was asked. I did want to put that out there because I think it's just really important that we see that the gangs, quote unquote, in Haiti and the terrorists, quote unquote, in the Sahel, these are the two equivalents in different parts of the world, different contexts, but more or less the same thing with the same sort of pretext behind them. Now, the question is, how are regular citizens and civilians organizing to defend Burkina Faso and defend the Sahel? So right now it's about 7:45 p.m. here. And so in about 2 hours or so, the Citizens Night Watch is going to start flocking out into the streets. They exist on every single roundabout in every single neighborhood here in Ouagadougou, and they exist in thousands of villages. I think I once heard a number that was 4,000 villages across the country. They exist in every major city. So the biggest cities are Ouagadougou and Bobo-Dioulasso. Every single neighborhood of those cities has a Citizens Night Watch. It's in French, it's La Veille Citoyenne. I'm sorry if I'm speaking fast. I know there's interpretation, so I'll slow down. It's La Veille Citoyenne in French. And the best way I translate it is the Citizens Night Watch. And in Burkina Faso's local media, there will often be called the Waya. Waya is in the local language means like come and go out, because they are responsible for organizing the rallies and demonstrations in defense of Ibrahim Traoré, in defense of the AES. And so their slogan is Waya, come and go out. And they're basically a grassroots network that was formed to defend Ibrahim Traoré and defend the Alliance of Sahel States. There's various organizations that are part of the Waya or the Citizens Night Watch, but they have this shared sort of network that coordinates between them and has helped to basically regroup all of these various organizations together. I think it's, for something that really is grassroots in origin, it's very well organized. There's still things that need to be, I think, perfected in its organization, but they've been very successful. And like I said, organizing the masses to the point where, you see them everywhere in this country. And everywhere in Ouagadougou, like I said, like in 2 hours, I'm gonna see them, out in the streets. And recently at the Thomas Sankara Center, we had our 3rd year anniversary. We organized a panel. The theme of our panel was connecting the committees for the defense of the revolution, which were the basic unit of the revolution in Burkina Faso during Thomas Sankara's time. These committees for the defense of the revolution, or CDRs, that was how, that served as the eyes and the ears of the Burkinabe revolution under Sankara. They're still alive. This is the 1980s. So we're talking about, our elders who are here with us in the ground in Burkina. So we basically put them on a panel with this new generation of Waya, of Citizens Night Watch, so that they can exchange ideas and really learn from that Sankara past experience. And this is something that at the Thomas Sankara Center, we're trying harder. We're trying to create a stronger connection between the two. You might be surprised, to be honest, it's not as strong as maybe we would hope it would be. I think because of the long period of counter-revolution, 27 years under Blaise Compaoré, the committees for the defense of the revolution of the 80s didn't necessarily stay organized. Their organization was disintegrated with the fall of the revolution. So we're trying to figure out how we can kind of push towards some level of organization with these elders who are around so that way they can really transfer that information to the people who are involved in this current Citizens Night Watch that exists. Another way that citizens are organized is through the VDPs, the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland. In French, it's Volontaires pour la Défense de la Patrie, so that's the VDP. And this is basically a civilian turned combatant sort of militia, where people who are not part of the military officially can sign up to fight against these death squads, and they do now receive military training. It's a volunteer defense force, so they're not like career soldiers, you know. It's a temporary fighting unit, and this was organized by the state here in Burkina Faso. So this was a state initiative, whereas the Citizens Night Watch was more of a grassroots one. But now the Citizens Night Watch does work with the state. There's connection between an organization between the state and the civilians and the Citizens Night Watch. But the VDPs, I mean, there's so many people who want to sign up to potentially put their life on the line to defend the homeland, that Ibrahim Traore has basically had to say that, you know, we have too many people signing up. And, you know, perhaps if you have skills in other areas, you know, we need to have people who maybe are involved in agriculture, focus on that. Students, you know, stay in school instead of trying to be VDPs. But that's just to show how dedicated people are in terms of wanting to join this force. And I can say, you know, within the Thomas Sankara Center, we have a work study circle, an AAPRP work study circle, and we've had experiences where we've gone through orientations with processes with people and, you know, gone through the process of recruiting people, and then they just disappear for a long time, and we're like, what's going on? And a few months later, we check in, and it's like, oh, they were on the front lines. So this is something that's really like, I think it's hard to imagine when you're in the US, this idea of like a strong connection between the military and like regular people in a way that's like, there's like a lot of mutual respect and even like sort of veneration on both sides, not veneration, but, you know, admiration, I guess is the word I'm thinking of, on both sides, where the military is at the service of the people, and then the people then have so much respect and want to serve the military and support the military. It's not something that I was used to having grown up in the US. So it's been a wake-up call for me to realize there's not that much of a distinction between some of this military versus civilian type of thing here, because our neighbors, for all we know, might go and serve for a period of time in these people militias, and, you know, maybe they'll come back and recount, oh yeah, I wasn't here because that's where I was. It's a very different dynamic. We also have the National Solidarity Funds. In terms of how the diaspora can contribute to it, I'm a little bit more familiar in the Niger context because they have a well-developed website. I hope I get it right. I think it's fssp.ne, but I'll double check where, but Burkina has one locally, and I do know there's a way, I think, to send internationally, but I don't think it's as well organized as the one in Niger for like international donations. But I want to talk about that as well because, you know, this is an initiative. It was, particularly in Niger's context, it was started by the grassroots. In Burkina, I actually don't know if it was started by the state or it was started by, you know, regular civilians. But the idea behind it is that people in Burkina Faso, in Niger, really want to give anything that they can to support this national liberation struggle. And that is how people view this struggle. They see this as a struggle for decolonization, including the struggle against the death squads. People and the President Ibrahim Traore as well refer to this as a struggle for decolonization. And people want to give their, you know, whatever little penny, dollar, whatever they have to contribute. So even people who have very little in their pocket will still give, you know, their last dollar to these solidarity funds that they know are going to supporting this war effort. And then one last thing about Niger, really quick, in terms of civilian organization, is Niger had also something called, similar to VDPs, the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, but they call them Volunteers for the Defense of Niger. That one over there, unlike in Burkina, was a totally grassroots organized initiative. It was formed in light of the threats that, you know, ECOWAS threatened to invade Niger to reverse the progress made by these revolutionary governments and to try to restore a neo-colonial order. In the end, ECOWAS did not end up following through with this invasion that they were threatening. But in light of these threats, regular civilians in Niger, I know, some of them, people like you and I who are, part of maybe Pan-African or anti-imperialist political parties, labor unions, other organizations, just, people like, us, basically said, let's meet at, this public plaza if you're interested in becoming some sort of defense force, fighting defense force to defend the country in the midst of these invasion threats. Show up at this plaza and we're going to figure out how we can basically form something like the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland. Grassroots organized, like I said, like you and I, people just like us, put out this call. And on the very first day they put out this call, 50,000 people showed up in Niamey to sign up, to fight, to defend Niger. 50,000 people on the first day. And I'm talking, like I said, about regular civilians, many of whom have never picked up, an arm in their life, who wanted to receive that military training so that they could be part of the defense of Niger and the AES in this context. Now I'll talk about the other question, which is about connections between Burkina Faso and Haiti. I'll say, because the political context of Burkina Faso and Haiti are kind of on the opposite ends of the spectrum, where Haiti, unfortunately, has not had a popular, pro-people government since Aristide was overthrown in a coup. It's hard for, on an official state level, to have the kind of collaboration that we'd like to see, for example, if Haiti was a liberated zone. However, there is an interest in Haiti here and then in the African diaspora more generally. I'll talk about, for us in the Thomas Sankara Center, we have begun to develop a relationship with an organization in Haiti called Molegaf. And so we are in regular communication with them, and we are trying to figure out how we can work together. They teach us basically and teach our members firsthand what is going on in Haiti. They're based in Port-au-Prince, and we are based in Ouagadougou. So we share, what's happening in the AES with them. They share what's happening in Haiti with us, and we're trying to pretty much figure out, what is that relationship going to look like and how can we really develop it. But we have found that it's a priority for us to strengthen that connection, because I think there really is a big interest in the African diaspora in the AES right now. People realize that the struggle isn't just a question of the Sahel, it's a question of African people everywhere. And so we've seen different organizers come in from different organizations across the diaspora. Some of them have met with President Ibrahim Traoré. Many have passed through the Thomas Sankara Center. Many have connected with other organizations. And so I think that there's a greater awareness now than perhaps, I don't want to say ever before, but perhaps since the Sankara era, of this greater Pan-African world around us, including Africans, across the ocean. And so there's really this interest, and like I said, particularly Haiti, which shares such a similar history. I don't want to talk for too long, but I know the brilliant panelist, Pierre Lavoisier, talked about how the Eiffel Tower was paid for through Haiti's exploitation and colonization, and perhaps even the quote unquote reparations that Haiti was forced to pay to France. And that same Eiffel Tower, if you look at it at night and you see it's lit up and it's glowing, that same Eiffel Tower is powered through Niger's uranium, which is transformed into nuclear energy and is used in France for the Eiffel Tower, but also for a third of households in France. So I'll keep it short there, but I think there's a lot of connections and people are starting to pick up on it and very interested in seeing that relationship grow.
May I jump in real quick? Thank you so much, Inem. It's a real pleasure. But let me jump in real quick to say what Inem was describing earlier about in Haiti, we have Brigade de Vigilance. Many people have been coming together and have been doing that. For example, when President Aristide was in office with Famila Valas, Haiti had a tiny police force of about 5,000 men and women, police officers. And so it was the population that formed the backbone. And Haiti had one of the lowest crime rates, I'm sorry, in the nation at the time because of this working together. And it wasn't just a police issue. It was an issue of people who were being provided with the needs, I would say communities, individuals, so that there was really crime was at a low level because of that, even though the situation was because of the strangulation of these imperialist powers. So that Brigade de Vigilance, which means neighbor defense group, carried into after the coup and continued. And in the present, we have a number of communities that have formed to defend themselves against these death squads and terror groups. The weapons are coming directly according to various organizations, including local, according to Haitians, and organizations overseas, including the UN. The weapons are coming from the US, particularly from South Florida. We would say 99% of the weapons are coming from there, fresh from the factories. And many of those death squads take videos and show those weapons being brand new in their wrappings and and I'm talking about real weapons of war. So this whole idea of sending Kenyan troops or calling for multinational force and what have you to Haiti is just ridiculous, because all the US had to do is stop it right there if they were serious at their own, in their own ports and what have you. Famille Lavalas is the national organization that the overwhelming majority of the population supports. And Famille Lavalas is the political party. The full name is Famille Lavalas Political Organization. It's very similar in a sense to, it's the national organization. And when it was in power, both times, it gave the structures, and it has a record of accomplishment that the people of Haiti to this day believe in. So you have the program called Investir dans l'Humain, investing in people, which is the program of Famille Lavalas, based on the needs of people. People put that program together. Our website, thank you for showing it, is HaitiSolidarity.net, Haiti Action Committee, HaitiSolidarity.net. Part of our work, and I want to link that to what somebody had said, how can people, African people and people in general who want to be in solidarity with Haiti, we have an organization that provides funds for the grassroots movements in Haiti, for women's cooperatives, for the University of the Aristide Foundation, and it's Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, HaitiEmergencyRelief.org. And this organization has helped with the work that people are doing, have been doing in the communities, work such as mobile clinics, community schools, community clinics. I mentioned farming cooperatives, and a number of other things, youth organizations that are engaged in learning about the situation and mobilizing the population. So funds will go directly there. And basically, Famille Lavalas political organization represents the majority of the Haitian population. At this time, there is a government, a transition government. That transition government, it was, without going into too many details, but it's important for people to understand. It's been a process by the people of Haiti ever since the coup. People have been fighting to reverse the coup and to restore Haitian sovereignty and self-determination under the leadership of Famille Lavalas political organization. In 2018, the people launched, under Famille Lavalas, they launched an initiative called, for short, Salut Public, which means a government of public safety. And this is what the people have pushed for. And what it called for is to counter this neo-colonialist regime. It made an appeal to all the forces of the nation that are serious to turn the situation around and to form a government of public safety with honest, competent people who would take over the various ministries and start responding to the needs of the population. So many people flocked to that idea throughout the country. Several organizations came together. Unfortunately, the US stepped in 2021 when there was a good an accord that was signed and actually infiltrated in the leadership of these agents, its own agents, so that derailed that movement. But to this day, the people are continuing with the Salut Public to implement it. At this time, in the transition government, the people of Haiti, Famille Lavalas is represented in the transition government. And they are there basically because the people of Haiti want Famille Lavalas there to carry the struggle into this transition government as an opposition to the agents of imperialism who are there in the majority to take it over. And the people of Haiti said, we have to be present in every arena of struggle, be it in the streets, be it around a negotiating table. We have to be there and carry this out. I know, time. So I'll stop right there. So please, HaitiSolidarity.net and Haiti Emergency Relief Fund.
Thank you so much. A huge thank you to everybody who was able to come and participate and ask questions. So sorry we didn't get to all of the questions. This just wasn't a webinar, right? It was also a call to join the party and other organizations working for people. There was slides presented for the AAPRP with our website, the Haiti Action Committee website, which is HaitiSolidarity.net. And then, of course, if you have the means to be able to donate to raise funds for Haiti via the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, that would be wonderful. And also, we can't forget about what our comrades are doing in the AES and donating to Burkina Books so we can get another library. But this is also the website for the AAPRP. And if you're interested in joining, we do have the information on the website to fill out. But that's all we have for today. Solidarity forever. Thank you all so much for coming. Forward ever, backwards never, and of course, we will win.